legal, people. It is definitely not legal to shoot fireworks on La Cienega Boulevard.
Just filed articles of impeachment on President Joe Biden. We'll see how this goes.
You didn't talk to anybody in government about the fact that there were going to be large protests in Washington on January 6th.
I don't remember.
I'm saying that they were a lot smarter than Joe Biden, because Joe Biden didn't have a clue. He just gave money hand over fist. It was very important to Europe, and I'm not knocking Europe.
Did you hear how a simple joke by Jimmy Kimmel sent both Trump and MTG into absolute meltdown mode? You'd think late-night comedians haven't been roasting politicians since forever. While Kimmel was busy calling MTG a Klan mom, she was dialing up the Capitol Police like she'd just witnessed a serious crime. Talk about thin-skinned. And when Orange Turd himself demanded ABC fire Kimmel, the comedian hit back with Donnie diapers, proving exactly why we need comedians in these crazy times. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Abrupt, sloppy cuts, but they still managed to capture the essence of the former president and his very upbeat outlook when it comes to climate change.
And it's bull. It's bull. The wind is bull. I think it's all bull. I got indicted more than him on bull.
Late night comedians making fun of politicians is as American as apple pie and government scandals. But apparently, some politicians have skin thinner than Donald Trump's infamous comb-over. I'm talking about the bizarre triangle of drama between Jimmy Kimmel, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and of course, the Orange Turd himself. It all started when Kimmel made a joke about MTG, calling her a Klan mom during one of his monologues. Pretty standard late night comedy fare, right? Comedians have been roasting politicians since Johnny Carson was making Nixon jokes. It's practically written into the Constitution at this point, but MTG didn't just get offended, she went absolutely nuclear. This woman, who regularly spouts conspiracy theories that would make your uncle's Facebook rants seem reasonable.
Anyone with a phone can be on TikTok. It's not an honor. Probably not. By the way, we took a look at Trump's TikTok. He is currently following no one, not even his own son.
Just filed articles of impeachment on President Joe Biden. We'll see how this goes.
Filed an actual report with the Capitol Police. Yes, you read that right. She called the actual police over a joke. In her Twitter meltdown, MTG claimed Kimmel's joke was a threat of violence and a dog whistle to the violent left to attack her, as if Kimmel fans were some kind of comedy militia just waiting for the signal to mobilize. The Jimmy Kimmel Show viewers are assembling outside her office. They're armed with terrible punchlines and dad jokes. Take cover. Kimmel, being the professional comedian he is, responded with the perfect level of mockery.
We'll take a look at TikTok.
We're looking at TikTok. We may be banning TikTok. We're not doing anything with TikTok.
Joe Biden is responsible for banning TikTok.
And a long time before that, this could have been settled very easily. Just a half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago. It was very important to Europe, and I'm not knocking Europe. I'm saying that they were a lot smarter than Joe Biden, because Joe Biden didn't have a clue. He just gave money hand over fist.
Officer, I'd like to report a joke. He even tweeted back, where does she get her barrel full of crazy ideas? From her former MTG, the Magic the Gathering game, turning the absurdity of the situation into even more comedy gold. But wait, there's more. The drama couldn't stay contained between just these two. Like a reality TV producer seeing ratings drop, Trump had to insert himself into the situation, apparently seeing himself as MTG's knight in shining armor, or more accurately, ill-fitting suits. He jumped to her defense. Trump's reaction was exactly what you'd expect from a man who thinks windmills cause cancer. He demanded ABC fire Kimmel and even threatened legal action over a joke. A joke. The same guy who spent years telling people to toughen up and mocking snowflakes was now melting faster than ice cream at a summer rally.
Trump also weighed in on which classified files he would declassify were he to become president again. And forget the fact that he had 4 years to do this the first time around. And forget the fact that he brought half the files back to his house.
I'm putting everything on the line to fight for you. I didn't have to be here. I could be in a beautiful beach. I could be in a gorgeous beach somewhere in the world.
Kimmel, refusing to be intimidated, upgraded his comedy arsenal and dubbed Trump Donnie diapers. proving exactly why we need comedians in these crazy political times. Someone has to point out when the emperor not only has no clothes, but might need some Depends as well. So what was the joke that caused all this drama in the first place? Kimmel had suggested that MTG could use a Will Smith-style slap after she called fellow Republicans pro-pedophile for supporting Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's Supreme Court nomination.
You have leadership now that's allowed a war to go on that should have never even happened, even without the United States. Look, we had a president who was grossly incompetent, records like nobody has ever seen before. When you have companies like this coming in and almost 40% of their company in one signature is going to be devoted.
Yes, the same MTG who had no problem with actual sex trafficker Matt Gaetz was calling other Republicans pedophile supporters. The irony is thicker than Trump's makeup. The Will Smith reference came right after the infamous Oscar slap incident, making it a timely, if somewhat edgy, punchline. But it was clearly a joke, not an actual call for violence, unless you think comedians are secretly organizing slap squads to target politicians.
You didn't talk to anybody in government about the fact that there were going to be large protests in Washington on January 6th.
I don't remember.
So Obama's talking about all of this with the global warming and that, and a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay? It's a hoax.
What makes this saga so ridiculous is how it exposes the glaring hypocrisy of these politicians. They position themselves as tough fighters for America, warriors against the snowflake generation, yet they completely melt down at the slightest joke. MTG can dish out vicious accusations about her colleagues supporting pedophilia, but a late-night joke sends her running to the police. And Trump, who built his brand on being a tough-talking, no-nonsense businessman, apparently becomes a quivering mess when a comedian makes fun of his favorite congressional conspiracy theorist. The man who told supporters to knock the crap out of protesters at his rallies suddenly thinks jokes are dangerous forms of incitement. As Jon Stewart perfectly put it, the best defense against the abuse of power is a good joke. This whole ridiculous saga proves exactly why comedians matter in a democracy, when elected officials like MTG and Orange Turd can dish out the most outrageous accusations, but then cry to the authorities over a late-night punchline. We're living in an upside-down world.
Spoke to Representative Biggs or his staff about that fact, didn't you?
I do not remember.
How about Representative Gosar?
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Illegal, people. It is definitely not legal to shoot fireworks on La Cienega Boulevard.
The real threat to America isn't comedians making jokes. It's politicians who can't handle being the butt of them. These are the same folks who spread actual harmful rhetoric daily, but suddenly become delicate flowers when someone points out their absurdity. At this point, the comedians have become our truth tellers, while politicians perform their own bizarre comedy routines on Capitol Hill. The irony? One group gets paid to make us laugh, the other gets paid to lead the country. Guess which one is actually doing their job?